guys, what's up? We're here talking more liposuction, fat transfer, BBLs, how to avoid that tummy tuck, and importantly, today we're doing that belly buster sale. It's 20% off the front of your abdomen. And this is meant to attract those individuals with that big hanging belly that folds over. Many of these individuals have to they pull their pants up above that folding belly, and so they wear their pants up really high, trying to cover up that portion. So we want to get rid of that for you, so you can stop doing that. Stop hiding. Stop having to wear spandex because that's all you can get, and the only thing that you can get to fit you. These are big challenges for people, and we have figured out a way to get huge dramatic change and reduce these bellies to the point where that fold goes away almost entirely in most cases. The results are phenomenal. So if you haven't seen our private Facebook group yet, you should definitely jump on our private Facebook group. You can go on there and search My Shape Lipo Support Group, and what is it? It's not an application, right? It's a request. It's a request to be in. So make sure you get into that private Facebook group. It's the ability to see all these pictures that you'll see behind us. You'll be able to actually see those pictures from the individual who posted them. These are not our pictures. These are pictures, the public pictures of individuals, our patients that are sharing their stories, sharing their experience and results. So go to the private Facebook group, connect with these individuals. You can see the stuff. You can zoom in and look all closer up. And then if you are interested in many cases, what's going to happen is you'll find someone else that looks similar to you, has a similar body type to you. And so if you want to connect with these individuals, they can kind of give you a better idea of what you may expect, since they had a similar body type than you. And you can also see how the results occur and what happens over the course of time. Many of our patients, they show the results over, like at a couple weeks, a month out, 2 months out, 3 months out. So you can kind of see their progression. And then you can follow these individuals and just see how they're doing along the way. And again, they become your friend, and you can post, questions to them directly and get them to answer the questions, because how I answer the questions is going to be different than the individuals and the patients. So you get a different perspective, which is nice. The truth is always somewhere in between, and you got to search for it. So with the information that I'll give you is based off of my experience and my knowledge, and it'll be more generic because I'm talking about a wide range of potential people, whereas the actual individuals who have had the procedure, they're speaking only from their own experience. So what happens is you'll find that there's going to be a wide range of experiences. There's a wide range of goods and bads. It's the whole spectrum, and it's nice to be able to see this stuff, because I know every other site you go to, you get a lot of bullshit out there, and you don't know what to believe. You don't know what's real, what's true. Even when you're looking at these review sites, you never know what's real, because competitors could be writing reviews, or previous patients even. Sometimes people have vendettas and they make things sound way worse. Like the use of language is volatile. So if someone says, it was the worst experience ever, really, what does that even mean? What does that actually mean? Their worst experience ever may not be a bad experience at all to you. These are perspectives that you're talking about. So that's why I believe it's so important to actually connect with these individuals, and it's invaluable, the experience that you can get from learning from someone else. All right, let's get some questions here. Okay, so how much is the belly buster? So this is the deal here. Was that Selena? This is the deal. So this belly buster sale is 20% off the front of the abdomen. So this is meant for larger individuals who are trying to get rid of the fold over part of the belly. So these are people maybe 200 to 300 pounds. Could be smaller, but we're talking about the front of the abdomen. And that's what the special's for. The 20% is off for the front of the abdomen. So These are meant for larger patients. Those are the ones that will really benefit. It's not to say that you can't take advantage of the special if you're smaller. If you're treating the abdomen, it'll and trying to do a 360 all the way around. It's just that the 20% will be off the front of the abdomen, so you still get a discount, but it's not for the entire procedure. We're looking to make these huge dramatic changes for larger individuals to get rid of that belly in the front. And I know that many of you larger people are getting turned away from other clinics. They're saying that your BMI is too high, or you need to lose weight, or whatever the case, but you're getting turned away, or they're giving you options that are not really good, saying that you have to get a tummy tuck, and or you have to go lose weight, or some of these doctors are even saying that they anticipate doing multiple procedures on the same area, which I have to put a warning out there, because I've heard this way too many times recently. And actually, I've had a few patients, one in this last week, and I've had about 3 consultations this week. It's the same story. There's doctors out there that, for these larger individuals, they are offering them discounted pricing for 360 lipo. So a large individual like this, they're going to try and do 360 lipo, and when they do that, and the patients actually go through with it, they pay $8,000-$10,000 for the procedure. However, afterwards they're told, "I'm so sorry, we took out the maximum amount of fat, and we had to stop." So think about that. They took the maximum amount of fat off of a large area, but yet these people are still big, and that's the problem. So my philosophy here is, instead of trying to attack the entire waistline on a large individual, then have to do a half-assed job because we're not supposed to take out that much fat, I suggested, and I started changing my philosophies, and let's address the front of the abdomen so we can get way more fat out of this isolated area, and then you get results like this. Now, she only had the front of the abdomen treated. So you can see how that belly hung over the bikini bottom there, and you can barely even see it. Then afterwards, that fold is completely gone. And that's the magic that we're selling right here. That's the idea. If we can isolate and take fat only out the front of the abdomen, we make a big dramatic change and the fold goes away. This is the reason why it folds. It's simple physics here. It's weight or volume. So you have this volume of fat, and then gravity's pulling it down. Now your body just can't hold it up. Okay, it can't hold it. Some people do. Their body's able to hold it up, and so you'll see. But with time, and so these are the individuals that have been heavier, overweight for a decade, maybe 2 decades, where the body just starts giving up, and the elasticity of the skin, it starts hanging and sagging. You get more stretch marks and things of that nature. So with the liposuction, all we're doing is we're eliminating all that fat. So we take out all the fat, and that's the stuff that the gravity was pulling down on. So now if it's not there, what does gravity have to pull down on? It's empty. Okay, so it doesn't hang down, it's not pulling. Now, without the volume and weight pulling down and causing the sagging aspect of the belly, without that volume, without that weight, it retracts back. It always does. So our skin is elastic. So just like you were able to get big and your skin, stretched in order to fit, when you get smaller, your skin will contract in order to fit. It works every time. Every time the skin retracts back. So when some other plastic surgeon tells you that you're going to have an empty sac of skin, you got to be smarter than that. Wait a second, I saw these pictures that this guy's doing it just liposuction. No tummy tuck, no cutting. Is that possible? And see what they say. Because I'll promise you, a lot of them, they're so ingrained in their path. These doctors, they're so ingrained in their path that this is the way it's got to be done. And you're like, why does it have to be that way? Well, that's the way we've done it for the past 2, 3, 4 decades. So they continue doing it. But what if there's an easier way? What if there's a better way? These are the questions that I asked. What if there's a better way? And then in fact, I figure it out. And then when I figured it out, we started doing it over and over and over. And the results that we're getting, they're consistent now. We've been doing this for a long time, but now the results are consistent. We are very consistent. And so these larger individuals, the bellies are going away on almost everybody. Obviously we can't guarantee things because there's a lot of variables, but almost everybody, the belly's going away. It's incredible. All of you on Facebook, please hit the share button. Gotta get more people here. Gotta get some exposure. Help me out. Okay, what's the name of the page? Sorry, it's the My Shape Lipo support group. What's up, Rachel? Okay, Jen says, I love my body except my midsection. Well, we can fix that. We can fix it. What's up, Omel? My old buddy from New York. He's not old. We just go way back. What is the cost for the abdomen? So Joni, the abdomen is going to be different for everybody, and you'll see by the pictures that we have. When we have people that their belly's like way out here and hanging down, and they can't even see their private parts. Those are obviously more expensive than the individual who has just like a little pooch. So we don't know what you are, so I don't give quotes over these lives. So I recommend that you get the consultation. And Facebook, there's a link up above. You just click on the link. You can submit photos, and the consultation is a $100 fee. And if you decide to move forward with the procedure, it'll come off your procedure cost. Okay, Michonne. Is her midsection darker afterwards due to bruising still? That's an interesting question. You want to go back to that picture, Granville? So you'll notice in this picture here that the abdomen the skin is a little bit darker. And so I'm going to have you guys kind of imagine here for a second. Imagine you had a water balloon, and it was a blue balloon, and when it's empty, it's really dark. It's probably like this color here. Now, when you fill it up, it expands out. And so what happens when it expands out? The color actually gets lighter. It changes. Okay, and the reason why it changes, and these are all like optical illusions that you're seeing here. The reason why the color changes is not that the color of the balloon actually changed. It's that the particles themselves are further apart. And when they're further apart, the color changes. The same thing happens on our body. So when you have the melanocytes, or those are the pigmentation of the color, when you're stretched out, when you're bigger, you have lighter color. Okay, when you remove the volume and things contract, they come together, and as they come together, the pigmentation will be closer, and it looks darker. It appears darker. It happens on everybody. Obviously, the pigmentation that you have in your skin will depend how dark, or the effects are exactly. In most cases, your body will kind of accommodate, and it improves. However, it's possible. Obviously, we're getting very aggressive, and you get a lot of contraction. When you get a lot of contraction, it's possible to have darker skin in that area. And so, it kind of is what it is. It's one of those things that if that bothers you enough, then you don't want to get this procedure, then don't get it. But it's in most cases it's just a consequence that you live with. This is 7 weeks post, and you can see her skin tone has already changed, and it's improved. But there's some, you guys have to realize that there's no, although I try to predict things with the potential outcomes, there's no predicting exactly. And so going into this, you have to, with the mindset in your mind, you have to realize that you don't know for sure exactly what's going to happen. So you are taking a risk, and you hope everything turns out great, but it is possible that things don't turn out great. It is possible that there's unknown stuff once we get in there that may limit the results. It's possible, all kinds of things are possible because this is a surgical procedure. Your body is different than another person's body, so we do the best that we can to give you the best possible results for your body. Now, everybody's different. So like let's say, for example, one person has tighter skin and one person has looser skin. The results are going to be different, even if they're the same size, same build, everything, but one has different skin tone. The possibilities are different. Now, I want to be here to just share with you that what you believe is possible is usually we're able to go far beyond what you believe to be possible. And so that's why you'll see these pictures, because I want you to see these pictures and be like, that's impossible. Because when you don't believe that something this is possible, we're able to stretch your imagination, stretch your mind, and allow you to see that what is really possible in this world is so much farther beyond what you believed, that it's going to help open your horizons to realize that if we can push these limits a little bit further, what could you do in any other aspect of your life? What could you push just a little bit further? Where you thought there was a limit before, where could you push it a little bit beyond there? Because the truth is there really are no limits. The only limitations in this world are the ones that we give ourselves, where we tell ourselves, "Oh, we can't do that. That's impossible." And when you start saying that, and saying that something, just by the words saying that's impossible, will stop your mind from thinking of how to figure it out. And so you got to start asking yourself different questions. Start asking yourself, how is that possible? And our brain is an amazing thing. When you start asking the right questions, it starts giving you the right answers. How is that possible? That's the better question that you have to ask. This young lady here, how did she do this? So we did 360 lipo on her, made her significantly smaller. But you'll notice that not only is her waistline smaller, but everything else is smaller on her. So not only did she do the liposuction, but she also followed through and continued with her lifestyle changes and lost a substantial amount of weight. I don't remember the say there. Oh wow, 157 to 230. What is that? So like a 70, 80. What is it? 60, 40. So about 70-pound difference. So big difference. And I can tell individuals that, you know, if you want to get the best results, it's not just getting these procedures. Whether you get my procedure or any other procedure for that matter, it's not just the procedure. It's the lifestyle changes. You have to couple them, layer them on top of you. So not only do you get the procedure, but you layer on top the lifestyle changes with diet, layer on top more exercise, layer on top where you're drinking more water, living a healthier lifestyle. All these improvements in your life, they make a difference. Each one makes a small improvement. Together, the combination makes a big, huge, dramatic change. So don't come into these procedures thinking that just because you pay whatever amount of money you pay, that all of a sudden we're going to wave this wand and magic, poof, all this stuff happens for you and you gain confidence all of a sudden and you love yourself. It doesn't exactly happen that way. Okay, the way that your mind changes, your mind may change a little bit different. Some people get depressed after liposuction, and sometimes it takes time to get your head right. So this is a process. You may just see pictures and think that it was boom, it just magically happened, but it's just not. It's not like that. So being part of the private Facebook group also, it kind of opens your eyes, makes you more cognizant, more aware of the reality of these procedures, because the last thing you want to do is get into something and not know what you're getting into. That's where you get surprises and you weren't ready, you weren't prepared. These are the people that end up leaving bad reviews because they simply didn't do the research, they didn't prepare. So then when they experience the normal stuff that is after liposuction, because a lot of this stuff just happens. It's a consequence of what we do. You're gonna have swelling, bruising, drainage of fluid. All that stuff's normal. It's gonna be uncomfortable afterwards. All that stuff's normal. But if you're not prepared for it, you're gonna think, "Oh my God, it's terrible. It's the worst thing ever." But if you're prepared, it was expected. It's a different mindset. It's the way you think about things. So just take with a grain of salt. What anyone says, I mean, I'm telling good, bad, ugly, whatever they say, you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's not you. It's them. It's their experience, their perspective. Their perspective is different than my perspective. They're different than your perspective. Their experience of pain, how people experience pain there is a huge, wide range of how people experience pain. And I've done thousands of these procedures, and I always ask people, and I'm able to observe how they experience this stuff and how they react to it. And I was just teaching my kids this lesson the other day, that they think that, oh my God, this and this happened to me, and I'm so upset, and they're getting, my kids are getting all like mad and angry, yelling, and I was trying to explain to them, look, the things that happen around us, it's not just happening to me. It's not just happening to you. What happens, it happens to all of us. Okay? But it's not what happens, it's what you do about it. It's how you respond to what happens. That's the difference between the people that fall into poverty and the people that excel into great wealth. It's how they react and respond to what happens to them. You know, I can tell from my personal experience, in 2006, 7, 8, right around that time when the real estate market crashed, like, man, bad things were happening to everybody. Bad things were happening. And I got absolutely crushed. I had overextended myself, bought a bunch of real estate and investing. And like, I was a hyper aggressive at the time. And I got absolutely pummeled. I got crushed. I had 10 properties that I lost to short sale and foreclosure. It seemed like the worst thing to ever happen. I mean, I'm like, I could have had a huge sob story and told everybody how bad things are and like, and felt bad about myself, gotten depressed. I mean, I saw people like committing suicide over stuff like this, but I didn't react that way. Instead, I got more cautious and I realized what I didn't know. And at the time, I thought I knew everything, but I realized that I don't know everything. So now I need to learn. So I went out and I started educating myself and learning. I got more conservative to where in the past I'd been leveraging. So I used a lot of financing and borrowing money. So I made changes. And now fast forward 10 years and now we have a huge successful clinic and financially everything's turned around for me and everything's changed. It took 10 years. Okay, it did not happen overnight. It was not a quick fix. It took time, years, and it was a struggle. But I responded by action. What could I do? How could I improve? How could I get better? And that was my response. Instead of cowering and getting smaller, I expanded and grew. And this is just a different philosophy. And you have to examine your own philosophy. Are you the type of person that when bad things happen, you shrink, or do you expand and grow to overcome? Okay, these are just mindsets, different way of thinking of things. What's up, Raina? How much is a 360? Again, if any specific pricing, we have to see your body. Because a 360 for one individual, like a person that's 300 pounds is totally different than a person that's 120 pounds. It's totally different ballgame, different approach, different procedure. You guys have to realize that these words, when you're referring to a 360 lipo, it's just a word. And it refers to, all it refers to is all the way around the waistline. It doesn't refer to whether you're, what your weight is or any of that stuff. So everybody's body is different and needs different things. Okay, what's the difference between BMI consideration with some and not other professionals? So Maricela, that's a good question. We've never, ever even calculated the BMI at MyShape Lipo. It's not even in our charts. It's not a determination. You have to realize that the BMI is just a calculation. It's just a number. And it seems as if the medical profession has utilized that number almost as a weapon against individuals. So they say, your BMI is too high, so you're going to fall into this category. We're going to categorize you. In this category, you have to lose weight, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to charge you more, and all these different things, right? And so it's a categorization. And we just simply, I don't believe in that. And it's limiting. It limits the individual. They're trying to limit the patients, limit the individual. But in my opinion, it's a big part of why they do that is simply philosophy. And BMI is a concern when you're trying to do 360 on a person like this. Hell yeah, it's a big concern. You can't do 360 because the results would be mediocre at best. It probably would be very little change if you try to do 360. However, what if you just said, instead of doing all the way around, let's get all the fat from the front of the abdomen here. And that's what we did. And when we did that, we were more aggressive. We got more fat out of just the front of the abdomen here, and holy crap, they went away. It went away. And it's not just once, it's over and over and over and over. And you can have it too. It's not just one person, it's all of them. All these people you see behind us. So, you're asking like, why do they do BMI restrictions? You should ask them. I mean, we don't use it, so I don't know why they use it. You should ask them, and I'd really love to hear someone's explanation, because I promise you're going to get some bullshit answer. Because it's a bullshit number, you'll get a bullshit answer. In fact, when you talk to their employees, the employees won't even know what to tell you. They'll just say, that's what we do. That's our rules. So I'm like, I hate rules. And if you told me these rules that restrict me, it would piss me off. So I don't like to do that. I don't like to restrict you. We suck fat for a living. Why would I say, hey, you have more fat, we're not going to suck it off of you? That doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, you would think if they were larger, they're more of a candidate for us to help, right? The more fat you can get out, the bigger. I mean, the bigger the change. Yeah, no BMIs. All right, good, Mishan. I'm making sense to you. Is the consultation time your time? I'm in New York. Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, when you schedule, it'll be based off of Pacific Standard Time, which is where we are in Vegas. However, Tiffany, I hope you're not like really concerned about time. I don't even look at the clock anymore. I know that these consultations are the day of, and I'll call you. When I sit down to do these consultations, I'll call everybody for the entire day, and that might be around noon. That might be towards the end of the day. It's when I'm available. I know we scheduled a time, and I apologize for the people that are really like they're time conscious people. I'm just not time conscious like that, and I like to work quick. So sometimes I'll have schedules where they're all over the day, and I don't want to be doing consultations for the entire day. So I'll try and knock it all out in an hour or two. It's just my philosophy, the way I do things. And for whatever reason, if some of these hours don't work, like if I call you and you're not available at that time, we can just, we'll just schedule for another time. We'll make it work though. We'll figure it out. It always works. Okay. When is the 20% off sale over? So the deal with this 20% off the front of the abdomen is that you would have to place a deposit before the end of the year, so December 31st, and then you'd have to have the procedure within the month of January, while our space is available. So if we fill up our space, then we'll probably push you off into the next month. But for the confines of this special, we're asking that you get the procedure in January. So again, the deadline would be placing your deposit before the end of the month, here's the important thing is that you got to get your consultation in time so you can figure out what your price, and gives you a little bit of time to think about things. So get your consultation early. Don't wait till the last day. Once you get that consultation, your next step is placing your deposit. And once you place a deposit, that's when you'll lock in the rates as well as the discounts. And then you can pick a date and time on our schedule. Okay, how long are you in the hospital for? Good news, Selena. We don't operate out of a hospital. These patients get these amazing results and they walk out of our office feeling good. We do this all under local anesthetic, which means that we only numb the area that we're treating. So how we do this is we make tiny little puncture holes. They're 2 millimeters in size, and we inject fluid, copious amounts of fluid, which fill up the fat layer and spreads the numbing medication, which is the lidocaine, as well as epinephrine, which is adrenaline, and that constricts the blood vessels in the area. So, and it also keeps the medication local. It keeps it right in that area that we want it, because all the blood vessels are blocked off. So there's no blood in the area. So when we do the liposuction, there's very little bleeding, which makes it better for afterwards as well. But yeah, nice thing. No, you're not in the hospital. You'll be able to, walk out of our office and go back to your hotel. And those of you coming in from out of state, about 80% of our patients are flying in from out of state. So it's not, this isn't the new thing. And you don't have to be worried because lots of other people have done the same thing and they've done just fine. We try to make this easy since I know that most of our patients are coming from out of state, so we try to make it easy. Can you do 3 areas at one time: chin, arms, and tummy? So Kathy, yes, you can do multiple things at once. However, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you look like. So, you know, we have to structure these procedures in a way that's safe for you, and you have to realize that there's no like we try to define these things, but it's a what's the word, like almost like a gut feeling for me. Like I've done this so many times, I think this is going to be a problem if it's too big. And so that's when we start, there's going to be people in that borderline, like I might be doing too much in one procedure, and then maybe we should be less aggressive. So we're trying, ultimately the goal is to keep it as safe as possible, okay? Because it's an elective procedure. There's no reason that anybody takes major risks with this. There's just not a reason. So we try to do the size of the procedures which will allow you to safely get it done. And so when we start getting in the range of doing too much, well, we're just going to have a talk about it. And I'll have my hard cutoffs where like that's too much. I don't feel comfortable with it, and so I'll cut you off and say like that we're not going to do any more. But I'll usually have this little wiggle room in the middle where like maybe we can do a little bit more. Maybe it's pushing the limits too much. And then we'll have this conversation with you to see what your feelings are. And so like maybe you're super healthy, you're the type of person that tolerates things really well, and you historically you heal well and you do great with everything. Those type of people, they're much more confident in pushing the limits. On the flip side, there's individuals that they struggle at everything, they don't tolerate pain very well, and yeah, everything's tough. So we would then anticipate that everything's going to be tough with this situation, so there's no reason to push the limits too far. Safety first. What's up, Tiffany? Says thank you. I thought I missed it. Okay, Maricela. What is the percentage of people returning with an infection after a procedure? I'll tell you what. I don't know the exact percentage, but the people that have post-op complications with liposuction has increased when we started focusing on larger individuals. So I don't know exactly why. We have theories on this, but larger individuals, there could be issues with hygiene or keeping things clean because of folds and things of that nature, or sweat or whatever the case. There could be issues with health, so your nutritional health, your body's ability to heal after these type of procedures. So when we do bigger procedures, it's more of a challenge. It's challenging for the bodies, and when the bodies are challenged, then you get some of these complications like infections and things of that nature. So it is possible, and particularly when we do the bigger procedures, everything's elevated. People get more swelling, more bruising, more drainage, and higher risk for infections. It's all there. All these things are possible. So I would say this: don't get scared of all the possibility of bad things. Rather, try to prepare for in case shit happens. Okay, so if you're worried about infection, then try to do everything that you can to try and reduce the infections. And so we do that. We try and keep everything clean at the office. We use lots of betadine, which kills all the bacteria, and then we also give you antibiotics. So at the time of the procedure, you can take an antibiotic which starts on the inside, killing any bacteria. So this is not a sterile procedure. However, it's called a clean procedure because you're moving around and you have open wounds here. So it's a clean procedure, but you have openings in the wounds, there's always going to be the possibility for infection. And this is with any time you have any break in the skin, there's going to be the possibility for infection. And the things that will increase your risk factors of infection, 1 week out, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, is you have to, it's cleanliness. Once you leave our office, it's not us, it's not the office anymore, it's on you. It's the environment that you create for yourself. And if you create an environment where you're more prone to getting an infection, then that's what you're going to create. And on the flip side, you can take actions and things of that nature to keep everything as clean as possible, and just do everything that you can. And sometimes, no matter what you do, shit happens. So as I said, just be prepared. Be prepared. People aren't dying. So if short of dying, you're not dying. So you'll get through. It's just a matter of what you have to do to get through. And sometimes it's harder for some people, and other times it's easier.
You had somebody want to talk about the thoughts.
Oh yeah. All right, so there's someone, I had a consultation today. I don't know if she's even on. I know she told me her name was different on online, but she was interested in full thighs. So I wanted to show this picture. This is pretty cool. This is a picture in the middle of the procedure where one leg was treated and the other was not. So you can see the dramatic change that happens immediately. And this is, you might say, well, she's swollen at the, in the middle of the procedure. Yeah, probably, maybe, I don't know. But when you remove large volumes of fat, there's no way you can't be smaller. No way. So, like I have some patients that go to other doctors, and the other doctors, after the procedure, they still look fat. And then, weeks after, they're just as big. And the doctor's like, oh, you got to wait. It's, swelling. It takes, 6 months for that to go down, for you to see results. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You're going to see results immediately. We take out a bunch of fat, you see results immediately. Now, clearly, not the final results. Clearly not the final results. However, you see the results. You're smaller, significantly smaller. So when you remove a large volume of fat, it has to get smaller. What else can it do? The only reason it's big is because you have this volume. I mean, like imagine you had a water balloon and you let out all the water. Would you expect it to still be big? It doesn't happen. It's like laws of nature. It just doesn't happen. Okay. Okay, do you know anyone that has flown home the same day, like traveled back to New York? So Tiffany, this is our general recommendations for traveling. We recommend that you fly in the night before and then stay 48 hours after the procedure to allow for, so after the procedure, you're gonna be draining, since we use so much fluid, you're gonna be draining this fluid, that's what we're expecting. So it's messy. And if you're traveling during this time, it's messy when you're traveling, which is a pain in the ass. And it's just one more thing you don't want to deal with. It's worth it to stay longer for the 48 hours. Now, some people actually choose to stay longer than 48 hours. It's totally up to you. We just say a minimum 48 hours. With that said, Tiffany, there are people that fly back the same day. It's not a smart idea. These people were not that smart, and they had problems. They had problems at the airport. I got some crazy stories. I don't need to tell them here publicly, but people have bad experiences, and it's usually because they try to go against the recommendations. And look, I'm one. I don't follow recommendations. I don't follow rules. So I would be the one that goes home, flies home the same day. And after the procedure, when I had my procedure done, I drove myself home the same day, and I came back to work the next day. So that's possible. I know it's possible because I did it. But I never recommend it. Just because I can do it doesn't mean you can do it. Or does it? All right, Tiffany's got her consultation coming up. Okay, I'm interested. Marie, how much is the Lipo 360? Marie, this is, again, it's for any of these pricing issues or questions that you have. In order to give you an accurate quote, we have to see pictures of you and determine exactly what you need and what we, and develop a plan. And once we do that and it's agreed upon, then we can give you an exact price. So the consultation is the next step for you. If you're interested, if you're not interested, then you'll just kind of go on to the next place. But if you're interested, the next step is getting a consultation, in which case you can click on the link up above in the post here. The links are on our website there. And if you want to take advantage specifically with this 20% off special, you have to put the deposit down before the end of the month. I had a question over here on YouTube that I thought was kind of interesting. So someone says, what's the difference between Elite Air Sculpt and your Smart Lipo? Kathy. So that's an interesting question, Kathy. And I have an actually even more interesting answer. Elite Liposculpture is a Beverly Hills practice, and it was started by a Dr. Aaron Rollins, who was trained by me when I worked in Beverly Hills when I first started doing liposuction. And he's a plastic surgeon, and he came to work at the same clinic that I was working at, and he trained under me for about a year or so. And then we all kind of went our separate ways, and he started his own clinic in Beverly Hills called Elite Liposculpture. And his practice is set up different. He's not doing the procedures anymore, which you guys are probably pretty lucky because he was not that good at it. But he started and he coined this term air sculpt. And it's it's funny. There's a lot of play on words that he does. He's apparently pretty good at marketing, so he utilizes these words. He's trademarked them. Air sculpt is a bunch of nonsense. There's technology that utilize air, but it's just one technology. There's a bunch of different technologies for the liposuction. We use the micro air power assist lipo. It's a vibration based technology. The air sculpt is a different type of technology that utilizes air to actually vibrate. So it uses air instead of electricity. Is it better? I don't know. I've tried it before, and it's no different. I prefer the techniques that I use. And he also says stuff that is just blatantly not true. He says that there's no incisions that are made, but there's no way that you can get under the skin unless you make an incision. So although they're tiny incisions, they're really small. But air sculpt. So the short answer is there's no difference, and I would suggest that as a person that's looking into these type of things, that don't focus on a technology that you like and then go after the technology. You focus on someone that can get the results, and whatever technology they're using, just go with that. Because the technology, I won't say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter as much as you think. The technology is not what gets the results. It's the practitioner. It's the person's. It's these hands that get the results. It's not the toy. The toy is just the instrument that we utilize to get the fat out. So focus on the results and make sure that the individual, whoever you're going to go to, can get the kind of results that you're looking for. And you can compare them to ours. I think we have the best damn results in the country. So you want to compare us against someone else, you can see whether they're getting the same dramatic change that we're able to achieve or something less. And also be cautious, because a broken watch is right twice a day. So some of these doctors are going to have one or two good results, but don't get fooled by that crap, because we have literally hundreds of them, thousands of them. So you can see consistent results over and over and over. It's the same thing over. We're getting these results consistently. So sometimes you go to these other practices and they have like one, oh, that looks awesome, but that's the only one they have. So you start questioning, well, where are the rest of the people? And then you get some bullshit answers, usually. Or sometimes they even use other people's. Maybe they're using our pictures. Who knows? Okay, when you get a consultation, is the price locked in for you, or is there a time limit? So the consultations, we give you a 3-month window on a lock-in rate. Let's see, how long after a hysterectomy can you have abdominal lipo? So typically after any type of surgery, hysterectomy included, after any surgery where they're cutting into the area that we're treating, there's a minimum of 6 months wait time, and sometimes depending on how you heal, it may be longer. And the concern is that if you have wounds that were there, even if they're healed externally, it may appear that they're healed. The scar tissue is not as strong as regular tissue, and it takes time for the scar tissue to mature. So theoretically, when we're doing liposuction, it's traumatizing, and the wound could open up. So it's possible But yeah, I would say 6 months, sometimes a year, just depending on the individual. What's up, Amia Beata? That was the one I think was talking about the full thighs. Hope you got that. I showed the pictures of the full thighs earlier, Amia, so if you didn't see that, just make a comment and we'll put it back up. Okay, how long do you have to have the drains in? I think I would stay for a few days just to be careful. So Tiffany, we don't utilize any drains, and so it's kind of a positive and negative. The nice thing about not having drains is you don't have these tubes coming out of you and that are sewn in, so that's not there, and it's a problem because then if you get that caught, it might tear the stuff out. What we do is we leave, since we use such tiny little incisions, they're 2 millimeter circular holes. Those holes are left open on purpose so the fluid can get out. The fluid has to get out. That's the reason why they put a drain. The fluid has to get out. Leaving the incision sites open allows for better drainage of the fluid, and the more fluid that gets out of you, the better. If that fluid doesn't get out of you, your body has to reabsorb it, and those people tend to swell up more and have a longer recovery. So although it is inconvenient and it's messy and it kind of sucks the whole, the drainage of the fluid thing, if you're prepared for it and expect it, it's not as bad as you think. And the drainage is typically the first one, it's the worst in the first day. You'll have some continued drainage usually the second day, and typically by the third day it's all done. Where exactly are you located? Well, right now I'm right across from the airport. But our office is in Henderson, which is about 10-15 minutes from the Las Vegas airport. And if you want our specific address, I'm not going to say that because you guys aren't going to remember it, but if you want our specific address, it's up in the profile, I believe, or it's on our website as well. All right, Marie, got you interested. Clithia, got my consultation, but I asked the person to send me the price, as that was going to cover abdomen, love handles, but they never answered, and the email they sent. Okay, so Clithia, if you have more questions, the live procedure is not where you're going to get them for a personal problem. So call our office and speak with the individual specifically. They're there right now, so you can call the office right now and speak with someone specifically and try and get your questions answered. And if we need to figure it out, we'll figure it out. Okay, does the lipo help with the blood pressure? Interesting. There actually have been studies that show that liposuction lowers the blood pressure. So better question is, how does it do that? And so what happens is our body, as we produce all this fat and we get bigger, the body does a couple things. It creates connective tissue that holds everything up so it doesn't just fall to the ground. So we create all this connective tissue that holds everything together. And then our body also creates an additional blood supply. So that fat needs blood and nutrients to get to it. So you have more of a blood supply going in there. Now, if you have all these new blood vessels, now it correlates to blood pressure, right? So if your heart's trying to push the blood out and it has to go to a whole huge network of fat and stuff here, it's got to push harder in order to get the blood to where it needs to go. So when we do liposuction, we remove all the fat, and there's no need for all those additional blood vessels anymore. So they actually get torn out with the liposuction, and then the body will it'll just basically seal off those broken blood vessels. That's why you get some bruising, but it'll seal off those blood vessels, and with less for your heart to push to, you get less blood pressure, lower blood pressure. It's really quite amazing. So particularly larger individuals will get a bigger, more dramatic change in the blood pressure. You'll also notice that if you're pre-diabetic, so as you gain weight, the fat itself puts you at a higher risk for type 2 diabetes. And I'm not going to go into the details of why that is, but it's hormone based. But the larger you are, the more fat that you have, it affects the sugars. So when you remove all that fat, it improves your diabetic profile And many patients are able to, if you're already taking medications for diabetes, many patients are able to reduce the amount of medication and sometimes even eliminate the medication. So it's really it's a pretty cool procedure. And if you have these health issues, it's so important to not only do this, but you gotta make your lifestyle changes. This is what the doctors don't tell you. They just give you pills and say keep doing the same bullshit that you're doing and just take pills for the rest of your life, and you'll die younger. They don't tell you this. You're gonna die younger, but just keep doing the bullshit that you're doing is what they say. So I have a different philosophy. I'm not gonna sugarcoat the nonsense that they tell you. If you're diabetic, you have absolutely got to change everything. Diabetes is one of those. Oh man, it is terrible disease. So if you're pre-diabetic, you got diabetes in your family, and if you have diabetes in your family, you have already seen what happens. These people get sick, all kinds of sick as they get older. They end up being wheelchair bound. They end up losing their eyesight. They end up getting heart disease. They end up having high blood pressure. They end up getting issues with their nerves. It affects the nerves, so your feet and your toes start getting numb, so you can't feel it. Circulation issues. It affects all the blood vessels. It affects everything. But doctors don't tell you this stuff, and most people don't go do research about their own problems. So instead of telling you all the bullshit that's going to happen to you, they say, here, just take this pill and it'll make you a little bit better, but it'll keep you reliant on me. You got to keep coming back here so I can give you this medication. And if you don't keep coming back here, you're going to end up dying young, a lot younger. So diabetics, you got to figure this stuff out yourself. You have to get healthier. This is one way to get healthier. We can improve your profile by reducing the amount of fat. In addition to that, you have to do the lifestyle changes. You have to improve your diet. What are you eating on a daily basis? Because whatever you're eating, it caused the problems that you have now. So whatever weight you are now is because of all the stuff that you ate before. Whatever weight you are now is because of the activities that you didn't do. Right? And so once you realize that, you can't still do the same stupid stuff and expect a different result on the other side. That doesn't work. So stop the stupid stuff, change, and then the change comes. You have to change first, but the change starts in the mind. If you start telling yourself different things, you got to change the story. So you can't keep eating the bad stuff. You can't keep thinking that you can live a sedentary lifestyle. I mean, I've heard people say that the sedentary lifestyle is kind of like smoking cigarettes was back in the 80s. It's just as bad. Sedentary lifestyle is just as bad as smoking cigarettes is. Sometimes worse. I mean, look at what it's doing to our society. Obesity rates are through the roof. Our kids are getting obese at such a young age, and it's. I'll tell you what, kids that get obese, all they're doing is they're seeing examples around them. So you might be an example for your kids. In fact, if you have kids, you are an example for them. You're either a positive example or a negative example. Question is, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? And if you're a negative example, you're effectively shortening their life. By you shortening your own life, this is crazy. By you shortening your own life, you effectively shorten the lives of your kids. And then the scientists want to tell you, well, that's genetics. That's bullshit, is what it is. Because if you end up being a negative influence on your kids see that you've gained weight, they see that you eat whatever you eat, your kids realize that's wrong, and they do something different, their life is going to be completely different. And in fact, that's what happened with me. My parents, my dad was heavy, my mom was heavy, my brother was like 300 pounds now. And, and people say, well, genetics, I'm just a big bone. That's bullshit. Everyone in my family was big, except for me. And the only difference is that I was very active, and I ate the right foods, and I lived a healthy life, and I never allowed myself to get over that hump, to where I was too heavy, to where it restricted me, to where I couldn't do what I needed to do. I got heavier. I got up to about 220, and for me, which was pretty heavy, and it was restricting for me. I didn't like being that heavy. And I ended up losing, it was about 40 something pounds. So I know it's possible. And stop thinking that it's genetic for you, because it's not genetic. It's the things that you do. So people that say it's genetics, it's a cop-out. And the doctors, they want you to cop out. They want you to say, oh, it's just genetic, and then take these pills. And most people, they believe these doctors because we build these doctors up to these like pedestal, like they're so smart because they have this degree. But they're all liars. And many of them are just puppets for drug companies. The drug company tells them, hey, you got to pitch these drugs, and you know what? We'll give you a kickback. This is what happens. You guys don't even realize this stuff. Doctors are getting kickback for giving you medications. So you come in because you ate the toxic food, you drank the toxic water, and you got sick. You go to the doctors, and the doctors say, okay, keep eating the toxic food, keep drinking the toxic water. You don't have to exercise, be sedentary, just take these pills. And that's the solution. And the people that are asleep and they don't, they're not conscious, they're not aware of what's going on, they're victim to this. And they feel and act like the victim. So a little bit of knowledge and information here will turn on the lights for you in this dark room. And you'll be able to all of a sudden see what's happening around you. And that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping you hear some of these words that I'm saying and you go do your own research. Because I've done tons and tons of research, and I can't provide all of these sources here, or all the studies and all the reasons why I say what I say. But I hope that you hear what I say and think that maybe there's a little bit of truth, and then go do your own research. All right, can't wait to have my procedure done in March. Super excited. Okay, this is my reason for doing this procedure, to improve the health long term. That's a great reason. It's important to have a strong why. Why are you doing this? Just looking better in your clothes, that's a really weak why. And that won't last. It's a good way to drop the unhealthy fat, but it costs your whole life savings just to get it done. I hope that's not true, Denise. I was just doing some basic numbers the other day, and I'm gonna tell you guys, if you were able to save $10 a day, that's $3,650 a year. $20 a day is $7,200. Okay, which that's you can get a procedure for that much. That's $20 a day for a year. So what could you cut out of your life on a daily basis where you're blowing $20? That something that you can survive without, if you want to get this procedure done. And if you don't, here's the thing, is if you want to get something done, you'll figure it out. And if you don't really want to get it done, you'll make an excuse. So the people that say, oh, I have no money, or it's going to cost life savings, that's a bullshit excuse. Because it's just a matter of time. And everybody can save a little bit of money. Just it might take you 2 or 3 years. That's whatever, it's your life. Maybe you decide to work harder and faster, and you can figure it out into a year and a half, or a year, or 6 months, or whatever the case. If you start asking the better questions, is how can I do this, instead of focusing on that it's too big or too much, that you just got to start figuring out how you can do it. And simply cutting out Starbucks coffee might be it. If you get a Starbucks coffee every day and it costs you $5-6, maybe that'll be enough money to save you. Maybe with every paycheck, you decide that with every paycheck, once a month, I'm going to save, $100, $200. Could you do it? You should be able to. And the people that can't save a little bit of money, they weren't ever able to save money. So you don't have any savings, and that's hard. That's hard to work with. So you gotta learn how to manage your money better. You gotta learn how to figure out how to save, how to, and there's other things you can do. Like maybe you can make yourself more valuable. So get more skills, educate yourself, and then now you're more valuable to your work. Maybe you get a raise. Maybe you get a different job. And nowadays, everybody's switching jobs left and right. You just get a pay raise. Attain more skills and make yourself more valuable. And then go get a job doing that. Okay, you're definitely speaking facts about these doctors. Damn right. And why is that? Why do you think that is? So I do all these procedures on patients, thousands of them over the years. And I just sit and listen to their stories, all of them. And I ask good questions. and I hear people's stories all the time. And so I remember, I've got an excellent memory. And so I remember the stories. I remember, and I start hearing consistencies over and over and over. Same thing. People say the same thing. It's different people, same story. And so that's why I share some of these stories with you, like the recent story that I've been hearing. And this is, man, I've been hearing it way too often. It pisses me off. So if it pisses me off, it must piss you off. These doctors around the country are taking advantage of larger individuals and offering them 360 lipo. And then when they do the liposuction, they stop at 5 liters. So they remove 5 liters of fat, and then wherever they are at that point, procedure done. And then afterwards, it's just an apology. I took out the maximum that I could. I'm sorry, we couldn't do any more. And then you're left like, what the fuck? I just paid for 360 lipo, and I still have this big belly. I'm still square on the sides, and nothing's any better. So that's frustrating, and that really pisses me off. I hate when people take advantage of other people. I don't like being taken advantage of. So when I see other people getting taken advantage of, I like that. That pisses me off. So what I've done, instead of trying to trick people into getting this 360 lipo and then telling them, sorry, we can't take out enough fat to get you good results, I have broken it down to, we will focus everything on the front of the abdomen and get all that fat out, get maximum amount of fat out that one area, which then we get these kind of results. We get where the bellies just disappear. And so the problems that you have may be multifaceted. And when someone tries to tell you they can solve all your problems all at once, they do this in Mexico. We do full body liposuction, fat transfer, facelift, boob job. I mean, like, they do everything. But then you start looking about how many people die when they go to Mexico, how many people are unhappy with the results. I mean, if you start doing your research, there's a lot of problems, With that said, there's definitely some people that get great results and they're super happy. Might be a minority though. Might be a minority. And that's why I keep saying, go with someone that's consistent. We've tried to show consistency by showing over and over and over, this is what we've done. And these aren't our pictures, these are the actual patients' pictures that they post live on their Facebook page. And then you can connect with them directly in our private Facebook group. I mean, this is like a no-brainer. A no-brainer. Just got to do a little research, talk to some people. Okay, Royalty said you're definitely going to get this done. You just have to find a doctor that's not trying to rip you off. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can come to my Shape Lipo. I'm not trying to rip you off. We're trying to get you results. And people don't realize that, I understand that people talk, and people don't talk about shitty results. They talk about life-changing results. And that's why we try to make this life-changing. We try to make it huge, dramatic, unbelievable. Wow, you got to see this. That's what people talk about. That's what I'm trying to achieve. That's what I try to offer to our patients, is that, wow, this is amazing. That's what I want you to say. I don't want you to say, well, I kind of see a change. It's a little bit. Yeah, that's bullshit. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Okay, does the lipo help with your blood pressure? Yes. Okay. All right. Amia, oh, you saw it. Good, cool. Okay, the group is very helpful with tips and tricks, so I'm sure I will be fine. You'll be good, Tiffany. Tiffany, you guys have to realize that it's not like you're the first person taking this path. This path has been traveled by thousands of people, thousands of people, lots and lots of people. So you don't have to make up the path. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to, be like, oh my gosh, and be worried about this stuff. I mean, you just connect with the people that have been down the path. See what they've said. Go read about it. And you have to realize that path is pretty wide, so there's a room for a potential of range of things from happening, but once you understand the range of what could happen, it's just about preparing and being ready for what ifs. So you might be like, I'm scared, I'm nervous. Well, don't be scared and nervous. Prepare. You won't be scared and nervous if you're prepared for it. I mean, that's just in life. Prepare for stuff. Okay, do you have to stop smoking? Crystal. So if no one's told you that cigarettes are bad for you, then I will be the bearer of bad news. So, not only should you stop smoking cigarettes for this procedure, but you should stop smoking cigarettes altogether. Because again, I want people that the philosophy is we need to keep getting better, and that you're doing this because you want to live longer, you want to have a better life. You have to keep getting better. And if you're going backwards and doing the same stupid, did I say stupid? You're doing the same stupid habits that are causing you to get worse, that are causing you to decline in your health. This is doing no good for you. It's just a matter of time before it affects you negatively. It's just a matter of time before the cigarettes kill you. Cigarettes cause all kinds of problems. So cigarettes, okay, one of the big reasons why you need to quit, particularly for any procedure, this procedure included, but for any procedure, the cigarettes, what they do is they constrict the blood vessels. And so when you're healing, the wounds don't heal as well. So it increases the potential or the likelihood of an infection. It also it slows down the healing process. The body does not want to heal when you're smoking cigarettes. So you definitely, it would be a minimum of stopping like a week before, and I would say, I would stop altogether. But if it's stopping, the longer you can stop afterwards, the better for you. And if you're having issues healing, then you definitely want to stop smoking longer. But take this as an opportunity. I've had quite a few patients that have used this as an opportunity to kind of kick them over that edge of quitting, and just realize that the reason why you're doing this is for your health. The reason why you want to do this is because you want to live a better life. And so make the necessary changes to your lifestyle in order to live and be what you want to be. And the choice is always yours, right? So I mean, Crystal, if you choose not to stop smoking, then the consequences will fall only onto you. They won't fall onto me, they'll fall only onto you. And unfortunately, the effects will then it goes out to your family members. So let's say you end up dying young because you live this unhealthy lifestyle. Well, it doesn't just affect you. It affects you, your spouse, your kids, your parents, your all those around you, all the people that care about you. It affects all of them. And it's just because of these little cigarettes granted they are addictive, I get it, but the reason why you smoke is to get this chemical. It's a chemical dependence. Okay, you see the 20% behind me. Is that for all procedures? So the 20% refers to 20% off the front of the abdomen. These are for individuals. We're trying to encourage and help those individuals with very large bellies. So 20% is off the front of the abdomen. Many of these individuals the procedure is only going to be the front of the abdomen because they're so big. And so we try to maximize the amount of fat we get off of there. And my intent is to get rid of that fold, that pants, that hanging apron. We're trying to get rid of that completely, not just kind of, completely. And you should never, ever, 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 ever have to have liposuction on this area again. So when you go to a doctor and he says, this will be the first session and the next session we'll get more, you need to run out the door. Run out the door. Anybody that's planning on doing liposuction on the same area multiple times is insane. It's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Not recommended. Get one procedure and get it done right the first time. This is a big problem because people that go into these other doctors that are tricking them into getting 360 lipo because it's cheap, and then they end up needing multiple procedures, another procedure to fix it, maybe 2 or 3 more procedures to fix it. So even though you got cheap the first time, it's going to cost you in the long run. And not only that, the results are not as good when you have to go back in a second time. Okay, how long typically does it take to heal and resume exercise and go to work? So Tiffany, the getting back to work is going to be dependent on the activity that you do at work. So if you're sedentary, you're able to go back a lot quicker. Um, and let's see, exercise. Our statistics say that people are, saying they get back to the gym. Most of them are after about 2 weeks. Larger individuals, it's going to be a bit longer than that. As I said, everything when you're larger and we're doing larger volume liposuction, everything's extended out, so everything takes longer. So just be prepared. It's not a short process for the recovery if you're bigger. It's certainly not impossible, but it's a process. Okay, Lorraine Garcia says almost 9 weeks post-op, and man, oh man, am I still seeing changes. Loving every bit of it. My husband thinks. That's awesome. It's cool because I keep telling people you'll continue to see results and changes for up to a year, sometimes even longer after that, and it'll keep getting better to that time period. So these results are fairly quick. I want to say let's say this is 2 months out, but it'll continue to get better for a year. So if it looks this good after 2 months, it's going to just get better afterwards. And 9 weeks out, there you go. You're a little over 2 months, and it's still changing. It's still improving as the swelling goes down, as the scar tissue matures. It only gets better. And in addition, if you continue with the lifestyle changes, right, layer it up, couple on top of one another, so we get the procedure and lifestyle changes, it even gets better. It continues to improve. And not only does the area that we treat get better, but everything gets better. Your energy improves. Okay, what is 360 lipo? What areas are done? So 360 lipo refers to all the way around the waistline. The goals of 360 lipo is to get rid of the belly, the front of the belly, the sides, which creates the hourglass figure. And then we also go across the lower back here. Many people have fat across the lower back. You can see this one in particular. She's got quite a bit of fat in her lower back. And it makes it look like that butt is all the way up in her middle of her back. And in fact, it's just fat. It's not really her butt. So we're able to reshape and create a new butt, create an arch to your back, create hourglass figure, and make your belly flat. That's 360 lipo. And keep in mind, 360 is just a term. It doesn't refer to anything in specific. It's just a term. It's 360. It's a word. It refers to everything around the belly, around the waistline, creating the hourglass figure. Okay, how is this procedure done? Everything that we do is under local anesthetic, so you're awake the whole time. Local anesthetic refers to the fact that we put numbing fluid, so we inject copious amounts of fluid into the fat layer, and the fluid has it's saline, which is salt water mixed with lidocaine and epinephrine. The lidocaine is the pain medication that dulls the nerves, and epinephrine is adrenaline, which constricts the blood vessels. All right, we're going to be done here in just a minute. Okay, I got a big long question. Okay, just wanted to pop on and say I love my fat transfer to the breast. I wasn't interested in it in silicone or saline implants, so the transfer helped plump up my breast back where I had some volume loss. That's awesome to hear, Holly. Okay, not to mention the extra fat in the abdomen, waist, and back that was removed just helped everything look better. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Royalty Denise asks, she's asking Holly, says, how did you feel after the fat transfer to your boobs? That's another one of the procedures I'm interested in. So, we'll get some answers from that. The fat transfer, I'll tell you the fat transfer, I don't know what the Holly's experience was. Fat transfer to the breast, for the most part, the patients, it's the discomfort that you have after this procedure is typically not from the fat transfer, it's from the liposuction. The liposuction is, significantly more traumatic because we're tearing the tissue out of you, so that's traumatic. Adding fat back into the area is usually not that uncomfortable. You're gonna be swollen, and after the fat transfer, the limitations are you're not supposed to put pressure on the area for no pressure for 2 weeks and limited pressure for 2 months, and so it's more difficult with the butt because you can't sit or sleep on their backside, so that's more of a challenge. But it's it's possible. Obviously, people do it. Do you do monthly installments? So we have a finance company that we deal with. That information is on our website. When you come to schedule, we also send you the information for the financing. What was the other question? Yeah, monthly installments. Okay, we also have the what was it? Layaway type program. So you can make payments on a monthly basis, and then when you're paid in full, you can go ahead and move forward with the procedure. Okay, Holly answers and says, I'm loving my results, and it's a more natural result, which is what I was interested in. That's a good point to make there, Holly. The fat transfer is a great option, and it fills in. So a lot of women, it's like you breastfeed, and so you get bigger and you shrink, bigger, shrink, bigger, shrink, and then at, when you're done having kids, a lot of times it's like deflated, and particularly up here. So you got these like boobs. I'm gonna turn the sides, and you got boobs that are flat, and then they come out, right? They call it their ramp, So we can fill in that upper portion of the breast then it makes it appear that the breasts sit up a little bit higher because they have higher volume. And also you have this what happens is it's kind of like a water balloon. When you fill up the water balloon, it gets more firm, and it also kind of rises. So the same thing happens with the fat transfer. It's pretty cool. My wife, I did fat transfer on her breast. It's a very nice procedure. She was happy. She got nice increase in volume. Cool thing she noticed the other day, we went on vacation and she wasn't eating right, so she gained a few pounds. And then after the procedure, she noticed that her boobs were actually bigger, and it makes sense because when you gain weight, all the fat cells in your body, they expand out. So if you have more fat cells now on the breast or the butt for that matter, when you gain a little bit of weight, those fat cells will expand and get bigger. No tummy tuck needed. No tummy tuck needed. None of these pictures have tummy tucks. Okay. And how does that work? A big part of it is the techniques that we do. These are proprietary techniques that I've figured out over the years. But we also do use the Smart Lipo laser, which the laser is passed underneath the skin, and it heats up the inner surface of the skin, causing a contraction. And it's been shown through studies that it stimulates collagen growth for about 6 months after the procedure. So the techniques that we do in particular, it's about removing the fat in a specific way that allows for that fold to not fold over. And so it's the understanding of why the skin folds in that area so that's how I've solved it. And so I figured out why it's folding there, and then I can undo it. So I guess that's the best way I can describe that. Okay, I love that you mentioned how you and loved ones have done this procedure. It gives clients, yeah, I've also done my mom, my aunt, my cousins, my sister. I mean, everybody wants their fat sucked out, right? Okay, do you do chin lipo? Of course we do chin lipo. We suck fat off of every part of the body. You'll just hear us most talking about the abdomen just because that's most popular, but we do arms, chin, we actually do breast reductions, we do thighs, we do calves and ankles, we do forearms. I've not done a lot of those, but that's possible. There's a picture of the chin. You can see how it creates that oval shape to the face, and it's almost like it just brought more life to her somehow, right? I don't even know how that happens, but they're always smiling afterwards. Where is the injection point for the fat transfer of the breast? So the injection point, they're two tiny little puncture holes, and there's one right at the corner here, the fold, and then underneath the breast on this side. So neither one of them are visible unless you're a stripper and people are looking at you in the light. But in the dark, nobody will see this stuff anyways. All right, guys, I appreciate you for coming in here today. And if you are ready to change your life, and I only want to deal with the people that are really serious about transforming and transcending their fears and their limitations to live a better life. I want the people that are ready to make a change, because liposuction is not just one change. You got to change everything to get the best possible results. So when you're ready to make these big changes, these dramatic changes, right now is the best time to take advantage, particularly if you have that big front of the belly. We got this 20% special. In your next Next step in this process of getting your consultation. In order to get the quote and to figure out what your number is, you got to get your consultation. So click on the link for the consultation up in the post on Facebook. Instagram, it's up in our profile. If you can't find it there for whatever reason, it's on our website, myshapelipo.com. But take action now. This is your time to make the change. If you want to be ready for the summer, this is the time to do it. You got to start thinking ahead. It takes time. Get the procedure now and you'll be prepared and ready for when things start warming up. All right, thank you for watching, and we'll be back.